if you're new here, my name's Erin, and I'm the voice and hands behind Blush Loop Studio. There will be 3 videos in this series, and we are going to start with the absolute basics. We are going to assume that you know nothing, even if you know some. I'm creating a video series for beginner crocheters because I was there once too, and I was so frustrated that I almost gave up. And I've made some of the ugliest projects you've probably ever seen, so don't feel bad if yours are ugly right now. In this first video, we're just gonna go over the basics. We are not gonna crochet any stitches. We are just gonna talk about the basic fundamentals of crochet. We'll talk about different hook types and hook sizes, as well as which yarn you should be using and which yarn you should be avoiding as a beginner. We'll cover how to hold your hook for both tension and comfort, along with how to hold your yarn. So let's jump in. Okay, so first things first, I get this question a lot. What is the difference between crochet and knitting, and why is crochet easier for beginners? So I think that this is all personal opinion, honestly. You know, whichever one you want to do or start with is totally up to you. The reason that I think that crochet is a better alternative for beginners is because you are only dealing with one hook, where knitting you are using 2. So it's a little bit less to have to think about and do while you're crocheting than to have to use 2 needles. Another difference is that with crocheting, you're only typically working with 1 live loop at a time, where with knitting, you're working with a lot of live loops at a time. So I feel like crochet can be a lot more forgiving than knitting in that aspect. Okay, so our starting point is going to be on beginner-friendly yarn versus not beginner-friendly yarn. So we're going to start with the one that is. This is a lighter colored yarn, so the very first thing is do not choose something that is black, dark gray, dark blue, dark green, any really deep gem tones. The darker the color, the harder it's going to be able to see your stitches. And when you're a beginner, you want to be able to see those stitches. As you become more advanced and you learn how to spot your stitches, it's easier to work with these darker colors. So let's start with a yarn that is good for beginners. So this is a lighter blue colored yarn. You're going to be able to see your stitches with it, and it's made with acrylic. Now, some people will recommend that you use cotton. I think acrylic slides better, and it's less likely to split, meaning that this piece of yarn here is a bunch of pieces of smaller string together, and if you slip your hook in there, it can split that yarn in half. That can be a problem for anybody, not just beginners, but this is definitely going to be easier to work with. Now, this is a size 4 weight, and it recommends a 5mm hook. Reminder that this is just a suggestion. You use whatever hook is going to be most comfortable, but definitely at least start here and work and go up instead of down. If you go down, your stitches may be too tight, and you'll have a really hard time slipping yarn through your chain. So I want to point something out with this one, which is the no good yarn for beginners, because this is also a 4, if it'll focus. This is also a 4. So it is technically within the same weight group as this yarn. So 4 is typically considered medium. You'll find your worsted weights here. And then you can go down to a 3, which is going to be like a DK weight yarn, or up to a bulky weight. The other thing you don't want to do is use a soft, fluffy yarn. So the kind of yarn that you would use to make these guys, that is this fluffy chenille or velvet yarn. This stuff is awesome, and it's bigger, so you think it should be easier to work with, but with this stuff, it is definitely harder to see your stitches. So I definitely recommend not starting with a fluffy yarn right off the bat, even if these are the type of guys you want to make. Try it first with regular yarn. Okay, next let's talk about hooks and hook sizing and the different kinds of hooks. These two are both a 5.5mm. So this one says 5.5 here, and this one says it here on the shaft. So they should be the same, right? They both have ergonomic handles. They're both made out of metal, but these two are different and will give a different effect when you're crocheting. So this one here is considered a tapered hook. So what that means is that this metal part is the shaft, and this is going to be your neck piece, and this part is thicker than this part, so it tapers down to the hook. So do you see how it tapers? So this part up here is skinnier than this part. Now this one is considered an inline hook. So it means that the shaft here is the same as width all the way. Other notable differences are that this one has a shallower hook than this one, where you can see that this one has a deep V cut. So this one will hold your yarn better and you won't have your yarn sliding off the tip of your hook as often as this one. But the biggest thing for beginners is that on this, when you make your loop, no matter where you pull it on your shaft, on the neck, it will be the same size throughout. Where if you do it on this one, there's a chance that your loop will be very small towards the neck or it could get larger here. So until you have your tension down, you might see variations in your chain and stitch size with a hook that is tapered. Okay, now we'll talk about how to hold your hook. There are two common ways to hold your hook. Neither is right or wrong. Don't let anybody tell you that. So this grip is considered the pencil grip, any variation of this. And the way that you know that it's pencil is that your palm here is facing up. So a lot of people do this because they can use their fingers more than their wrist. And so there's a lot more control in this. And a lot of people find that it can be speedier. However, this grip is definitely more challenging for beginners. The second most common grip is this one here. So your palm is face down. Your pointer finger is generally rested on top. Your thumb is still on that thumb rest, but the difference here is that your palm is face down. And this one includes a lot more wrist motion, but this one can feel much more comfortable for beginners. This is called the knife grip. This is what I still use. It doesn't matter. It's just the most comfortable to me. So ultimately, find the grip that's most comfortable. If your hand starts hurting, try to switch. Also, try to not grip it so tight. You see how I'm white knuckling that? You do not need to grip your hook that hard. You just have to have a light touch and something that feels comfortable. That's most important. Okay, finally, let's talk about how to hold your yarn for tension. You're going to read no matter where you go or what video you watch how important tension is for beginners, but there's no right or wrong way to do it, and everybody kind of has a different method. When I first learned, I learned that you would wrap this around your pinky and then drape the yarn across these two and over your pointer. And then as you're crocheting, you kind of move this to adjust your tension. And that's pretty normal. This is a normal one. You will also see people who wrap it here for tension. And the big thing is that your yarn should glide smoothly. So, fun fact, fun tip, if you have really dry hands, this can make it more challenging. It'll stick to your dry hands. So if you have lotion, I think the same could probably be true if your hands are too wet. But what I'm saying is if you have dry hands, your yarn may catch on your skin. So use lotion. Honestly, the way that I crochet is I just hold my yarn through here. I wrap it around the back of my pointer finger and then I crochet here. And I kind of use I guess it drapes right about here. And I'll use this to pull away to make the tension tighter or to let go to let the tension be looser. The last thing I want to talk about in this video is just simply mindset. Crochet is going to be hard when you first start. It's going to be messy. It's going to be ugly. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay. It's normal. I know that everything you see online is perfectly curated and people make these gorgeous stitches and they put different videos together and make it look like it's so easy, but I promise even your favorite crocheter makes mistakes. Keep going. It's not a race. There's no rush to finish. Take your time with each and every stitch. Really feel it out. Feel out your tension. Feel out what works best for you and what doesn't. And ignore anybody who's telling you that there's one way to do crochet because there's not. Okay, in our next video in this series, we're going to put all these fundamentals and basics into practice, and we're actually going to start working on making chains and stitches. So I'll see you in the next video. Be sure to subscribe, and thanks for watching.